You're listening to the Ordinary Joe's podcast with Joe D and Eric B. Ordinary Joe's podcast.
All right, another episode of the Ordinary Joe's podcast. This time, we're going to talk about something strange. Where's my strange in the multiverse of madness? Joe finally saw it.
Yes.
Took me forever to keep my mouth quiet and not give any spoilers. So we're going to talk about, and he's wearing the perfect shirt because I have a theory about the movie that has to deal with Loki. So let's go ahead and get this started, man. I am Eric B.
And I'm Joe, and we are the Ordinary Joes.
It's my fault. I was delayed. I
went a little faster. I got excited.
Too busy looking at Joe's lips there. No. I don't want to say the word, but you know, I don't want to say the word. Yeah. All right, Joe, man, you finally got to watch it. Tell me your thoughts and what you think about Doctor Strange and how you feel. Because I'm one of those, you always tell me that. I'm a big Marvel fan and I love all this Marvel stuff. I'm a little torn. And I'll tell you why.
Really?
I'm a little torn.
Okay.
I'm a little torn. But
that's funny because I think we might be a little bit on opposite ends here because I loved it. I'm gonna just start out by saying that first. Well, actually, let me start by saying spoiler alert to anyone who hasn't seen.
Shame on you if you haven't seen it yet. Shame on you.
So don't watch this yet. Come back to it because there's gonna be spoilers. Yeah, I loved it. I feel like this was the first Marvel movie that if you didn't watch, some of the Disney Plus series, you might be a little lost. Not completely, but you probably be like, wait, what the hell? Where did that come from? Or what is all that? It wouldn't have hit as much. So maybe for someone who hasn't watched those, they wouldn't have liked it as much. But for me, I thought it was amazing. Let's start with Sam Raimi, the director, Evil Dead director, great horror movie maker, creator. And he definitely put his imprint on this movie. Yes. I mean, it's not a horror movie, but man, there is some good scenes that I would not have expected to see in a Marvel movie.
Exactly.
And I don't, I guess we'll jump around, but the first thing that comes to mind is just some of the deaths, let's just say, in this movie are a lot more graphic than you've ever seen in a Marvel movie. The way, well, we'll get into it. I don't want to jump right into the ending, but definitely you can see Sam Raimi's touch on this movie. It's got a little creepy elements to it. But all in all, so far, man, I'm happy with where they're going with Doctor Strange and his arc.
Yeah. And to piggyback off you, man, and again, if you didn't watch any of the Disney Plus episodes, and I did a podcast on my own where I talked about Disney Plus and what they're doing, and I love what Disney Plus is doing is the series that we're watching on Disney Plus are fill-ins for the bigger picture, for the bigger movies. Star Wars is doing that right now. And for them, this to me was a piggyback off WandaVision, right? I mean, spoiler alert again, if you guys haven't watched it, this to me they could have called it WandaVision or the Scarlet Witch, versus Doctor Strange. But I think they had to give it that Doctor Strange's name because he was the main character in there. With a 2 hour and 6 minute runtime, I was wondering how can they fill in 2 hours and 6 minutes with me being entertained and not have that little gap in the middle where I'm like, oh my God, what else is? But you know what? From the get-go, we see Defender Strange and they introduce us to America Chavez right away.
Yeah.
And again, if you didn't watch any of the Disney Plus series, mainly WandaVision and the What If episodes. Those are the two big ones, but then there was a couple things that ties in to this movie. And I love the movie. I love the story arc about it. But this is where I told you I was a little torn is I think they could have done it's the way they introduce characters,
Right.
We were waiting for Reed Richards to show up and he finally shows up and Wanda, worse than Thanos, destroys the Illuminatis. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah. Same deal. I was shocked. Like my jaw dropped when I was like, oh, okay, that was quick. Yeah, that's but I think and this is like the beauty of the whole multiverse of madness is that, you know, they can just put that on that, you know, that universe's Illuminati was killed and that they'll show up again. I hope so, because I feel like that was like a big waste. I mean, you know, we were excited to see what was it, Captain Marvel, not Captain Marvel,
Patrick Stewart.
No. The
Captain Carter.
Captain Carter, thank you. Yeah, we were excited to see her, the little teasers they gave us with her, and I thought she was going to have like a way bigger role. I thought we were going to see the beginnings of her movie and like some Fantastic Four stuff, and I'm just like, wait, what?
You're like, but what I loved about Sam Raimi is known for horror and gore, and you said this, horror and gore type, you know, movies. He did this in a nice, subtle way. The way he destroys them, the way I mean, like, you know, again, spoiler alert, we're already 6 minutes in, so screw you guys. I'm giving you guys, I'm destroying the movie for you guys. But anyways, the way she kills Captain Marvel. She throws the shield, and then all of a sudden we know she's cut in half. That's all we see. And it's not shown in the movie, but we, with our minds, the way our minds is like,
yeah, he really is, like, it's very tasteful the way he does it. You know, you see what's the guy, Black Bart or whatever, Boldigar, Black Bolt.
Black Bolt, yeah.
That's the short version of his name. For those of you who don't know, his power is basically his screaming or his voice. It's like really extremely loud. It's like an atomic, you know, explosion or something. And Wanda, or Scarlet Witch, she basically shuts his mouth closed, and so he panics and screams, and his scream just kind of, you know, bounces around in his head, gets bigger, and his head explodes. Now you don't see the head actually explode, but you see it puff out almost like a cartoon, and then you see his eyes all bloody, and it was just like, man, yes.
But see, this is what kills me. Okay, this is the part that kills me about the movie. If she's this strong, why didn't she kill Thanos when the whole thing, when Vision was getting destroyed? Thanos takes Vision's stone out of his head. Why didn't she do what she did here? Is it because someone said maybe because she hasn't touched the Darkhold yet?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think the Darkhold kind of showed her the potential of her power, you know, and plus it was evil, so you know it kind of just overtook her, and then she figured out a way to take other people's power and energy with it. But I mean, you know, it's fair to say that maybe in another, you know, universe, maybe that did happen. Maybe she was able to tap into it. And see, they're slick with that, you know, because they don't always, and I'm talking about Marvel, they don't always stick to the comics exactly. They take some creative license. But with this multiverse thing, they can bounce in and out of like the comic book version you remember, you know, they can use that as another, you know, universe, and then come back into to whatever it is, 838, I don't know, 718, all the numbers that they have of the different universes. Yeah. So that's pretty clever, and it's great for them because then they can kind of appease everyone. They can do a story that even if you didn't see the comics, it's entertaining, and for those diehard comic fans, they'll throw you a bone here or there, and you're like, yes, that's how it was supposed to be.
But it just killed me how we waited so long for Professor X to come on. We waited so long for them to introduce some kind of mutant. And when they finally did, you know, it's like, okay, it kind of left me to like, all right, I'm glad it's a different universe because they can finally bring them in. This is that small, I called it a soft opening, right? It's kind of like, I'll tease the X-Men with you, but I won't give you the whole X-Men just yet. So hopefully, you know, in the universe that Doctor Strange is in, I think it's like the 616 or the 626, whatever
616,
whatever our Earth is, right? I'm hoping Reed Richards is there, And I'm hoping there is a Charles Xavier, and it might not be played by Patrick Stewart. It might be played by the younger. It might be from, they had to give Patrick Stewart some kind of homage because he was the original Professor X. But I'm hearing rumors that it's going to be that younger. I forget his name. I'm sorry, but the one who's like X-Men Days of Future Past. They might make him the Charles Xavier moving forward. We'll see. I mean, there was a lot of things I liked about it. The story writing was very, we talked about this in the past. Marvel writers, even though they're taking content from comic books, the way they wrote this was like, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And I love how evil, Scarlet Witch was here. It's like Elizabeth Olsen to me is my favorite Olsen right now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, she was amazing in this role. And to the point you made before. Sorry, give me a second.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. Just her character, the way she is, the way she made me hate her. It's like, it's like I liked you in WandaVision, and then here you are. What the hell's wrong with you? Over some fake children.
Yeah. No, it's so cool. Like the way you see her in that one scene where she goes back to the old version of her, or the 823 version of her, the one that's with her kids. Yeah. And you see this kind of mirror. You almost forget it's the same person that's playing this. You really do feel like it's two versions of Wanda. Yeah. And just the subtle looks that she gives herself in that scene. It's like, damn, that is so good. And
that is cool.
And to touch on what you were saying before, I really hope we don't have to wait for another Strange movie to get these characters that we were introduced.
Yeah.
I'm hoping maybe they can slip them in, maybe in a Disney series or just in the next Marvel, because I really don't want to have to wait another, 2-3 years for another Strange movie to see these guys.
Yeah. These characters aren't getting any younger, right? John Krasinski to me will be the perfect, Mr. Reed's Fantastic Four leader. He's the perfect guy for me. He's not getting any younger. So in order for them to bring him in, I'm hoping they do, like you said, they do something sooner than later. Whether they tease us on the next Disney Plus episode, maybe Loki season 2, the whole multiverse, maybe even Ant-Man, because that's the next Marvel movie coming out. No, it's Thor coming out first, then Ant-Man.
Okay.
So I know Thor's probably not going to do it, but maybe Ant-Man, because he's doing the multiverse again. So maybe Ant-Man, they're going to find a way to bring these characters back in. I can do without Captain Carter. I could, because that's a what if Captain Carter. That's more of a what if she took it instead. I didn't really feel Monica Rambeau as Captain Marvel. They could have done without her as well. But, I didn't even know who the hell Black Bolt was.
I didn't either. I'll be honest with you. I had to look it up, and then I did find that the Illuminati comics were like this kind of mashup of Doctor Strange, Black Bart, Reed, 2 other characters. So this was kind of like a spin on the comic again, Marvel being able to kind of play around with that. So I'm curious as to, is that going to be like maybe the next Avengers, like next down the line, are they going to make a movie where they bring those guys together again?
Well, supposedly this movie, since they introduced the different multiverse and the different things and the whole collusion thing, right? The whole collusion, the 2 different universes are colliding. So one of them is going to die. This is supposedly tying into the Secret Wars, where the Avengers in one universe is fighting against the Avengers in the other universe, and it might not be the main characters. So we might not see like a Iron Man or whatever, but they're supposed to try to fight each other to try to save their universe. So that's supposedly what these characters are doing. They introduce us to these characters because they're planning a Secret War movie, and that's supposed to be the next big thing. And Kang the Conqueror, who was introduced to us in Loki, is supposed to be behind this whole thing. So we'll see. This is what I heard later on, but I'll talk about my theory and what I heard about, the whole Loki series and all of this series later. How do you feel about America Chavez?
I liked her. I liked her a lot. I actually knew about the character because again, I always mention my wife's cousin. She's really big into comics, does Comic-Con and all that. And she actually went as America Chavez to Comic-Con like
wow.
5 years ago, 5-6 years ago. Like this was way before, like we were still in the whole first phase. And that was the first time I heard of her, but I'll be honest, I didn't even really look into it, but I knew of the character.
Okay.
And so when I saw her, I was like, oh, cool. Like, that's pretty cool that they're just, and then like you said, the movie starts off with her and
Defender
Strange. And so, you know, they don't waste time in introducing her. And the girl that played, excuse me, because I don't know how to pronounce her name, so I'm not even going to attempt it.
Zolci.
Is that how you pronounce an X in the front?
I think so. Zolci Gomez. Yeah. Zolci.
Makes sense. Yeah, xylophone. Yeah. So got to go back to the one X word I knew as a kid. But yeah, I thought she was great. I thought she was great. I felt like she was good energy for the series. Kind of how guy who plays Peter Parker is that kind of young kid, naive, doesn't really have a full grasp of her powers. She's still, you know, I love how she didn't trust Strange because of all the other strangers that she came across, but still felt like, nah, I guess I have no choice but to trust him. Like, you know,
you don't know how to get out of here. You have to sit here and figure out how, you know, it's like, there's only one person to trust, and that's the guy that's trying to help you right now.
Yeah.
No, but I liked her character too. And in the last podcast we talked about how she's supposed to be introduced in Spider-Man. Was it whatever that last Spider-Man was? No Way Home?
No Way Home.
Yeah. So she was supposed to be introduced there. She is supposed to be the one that actually brought in both different Spider-Mans. But they didn't want to tease her there just yet, so they gave the powers to Ned and you know all his history if we all saw that movie. But I liked her character. I liked her little like, I don't know how to use this character, you know, my powers just yet. And she had to learn, and you know, it sucks, and we all had a job at one point where we all had to learn on the fly, and you make your mistakes, but you learn from your mistakes. And that's what she did in this movie where, you know, she's learning it. So to bring her back, I can't wait to see what they're going to do with her. You know, at the end of the movie, she's in Comatage, and she's working with, you know, those guys. So is she going to be a wizard? Is she going to be a multiverse wizard going between universes? We'll see what happens. I can't wait with that.
Yeah, I think she's going to overall be a real big piece to the overall puzzle of where they're going, because her ability to was it dreamwalk or whatever they called it, where she can go through different universes. And they touched on this, and I don't know if they explained it, but she's the only one, right? There is no other versions of her in the different throughout the multiverse. So that's really interesting, and I feel like that's going to be really important at some point, because she's either going to be the hero or, you know, the villain, a big piece of
they did say that the reason why the worlds were colliding was because of Doctor Strange dreamwalking. So you can't have two of the same in one universe. It'll cause a collision. So with her being in the different universes, it doesn't cause a collision because she's the only version of herself in every universe.
Got it.
How they figure that out? I mean, you got to go deep into the comic books to find out. Why is there only one of her but multiples of everyone else? It's something again you have to find in the comic books. How disappointed were you when you found out that whatchamacallit wasn't in the movie? Tom Cruise.
Why was he supposed to be in the movie?
So there's a rumor going around when he's brought into the Illuminatis, and they, you know, because Iron Man is one of the Illuminatis. He's one of the guys.
Right.
And there was a chair missing. If you remember the scene when he was looking up, there was a chair missing on the right. Yeah. But then, you know, me and my kids, who we argue all the time, I said that chair belonged to Doctor Strange, who's no longer there because they had to kill him. But they were like, no, that chair belonged to Iron Man. I was like, okay, well, eventually he wasn't in the movie because, you know.
Yeah.
But he was supposed to be there, and the version of him was supposed to be played by Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise did confirm that rumor that Marvel did ask him to do it, but with confliction of Top Gun, Mission Impossible, he couldn't do it.
Yeah. Now I wonder, is it that, or maybe he didn't like how the Illuminati was portrayed, because he is Scientologist, and we hear about the tie with the Scientologist and the Illuminati. No, just kidding. That would have been actually pretty cool. And I've heard the theory. So I believe my thinking was the same as yours, that that was Strange's chair, and they had to kill him. That Illuminati had to kill Strange for their universe. But I have been hearing online that it was supposed to be for the new Iron Man. So that'd be interesting to see, because I can't, Robert Downey Jr. made he set the bar so high. Yeah. I don't know how. That's one of those characters I don't know that I can see someone else playing.
Yeah.
They've reimagined Captain America and Thor, and they're following, the comic books in that respect, but it's going to be real hard for someone for them to just reimagine Iron Man. I don't know, but I'll be open to it. I
mean, it was Marvel's first choice was Tom Cruise before Robert Downey. Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. The only reason why he got Iron Man was because they already casted Terrence Howard to play War Machine or whatever, Rhodey, right? Because he never made it to War Machine. Anyways, he was in Russell and Flow. Anyways, so Terrence Howard was the one that said, "Hey, my boy, Robert Downey Jr. will be the perfect character." And when Tom Cruise said, "No, I don't want to do it," they had no choice. Let's go audition, this ex. Remember, Robert Downey Jr. was an ex-drug addict. He was in and out of jail for DUI. Yeah. So his acting career was not as positive as it is now, So Disney and Marvel, well, before Marvel and Disney took over Marvel took a chance and said, let's hire him. And like you said, I can't picture anyone else playing Iron Man.
I really can't, especially Tom Cruise. I mean, I'm more of a fan of early, the 80s Tom Cruise and early 90s. But as I've gotten older, I don't really care for his movies. Nothing against his movies necessarily, but it's always hard for me to see the character that he's playing. I just see Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like it would have been a little weird, but
I mean, maybe
we'll never know.
Maybe in a different universe, right? Maybe if there was a Secret Wars that Marvel is planning, maybe a version of Tom Cruise fighting a version of, Robert Downey Jr. At least we got to see Tom Cruise in an Iron Man suit. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that would be cool.
Not taking over the role. I don't think Tom Cruise will ever. And like you said earlier, he has a lot of religious beliefs in his Scientology that has to make sense for him to do before he does it. So maybe, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, the movie to me, a lot of people loved it. A lot of people enjoyed it. There was nothing boring about the movie.
Not at all.
Sam Raimi killed it. How do you feel about Ash being the pizza guy? Did you even notice him?
Ash being the pizza guy. Wait, who's Ash?
Ash from Evil Dead. Is it?
I'm sorry.
Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell. Yeah, my God, I was so happy when I saw him, and the whole kind of homage to Evil Dead. Yeah. For those who haven't watched Evil Dead, you should go watch Evil Dead. It's a horror movie, like 80s
slasher.
80s, yeah. And there's a part in the movie where Ash, the character played by Bruce Campbell's hand is severed, and it's possessed, and he's basically attacking him. It's just classic scene of where he's just fighting this hand, and a lot of it is just him just doing some like Jim Carrey type stuff. So they kind of touch on that. Doctor Strange kind of puts a spell on him where he's beating himself up for 2 weeks
with that same exact hand.
That same hand. I loved it. I was like, yes, this is like those Easter eggs, especially the ones that I can see.
Yeah,
I love. Absolutely.
And the end credits when he was like, oh, finally I have control. I mean, whatever he said, something like, finally I have control of you.
Right.
The Evil Dead fans went crazy. I was watching this on YouTube when, they released this, and the Evil Dead fans were the only one that cheered when he said, I finally can have control of you. Yeah. Because like you said, everyone who understood Evil Dead, he did not have control of that hand. The hand did whatever it wanted it to do. So when he finally said, I finally have control, everyone was like, wow, it took this long, right?
Yep. And that was the second post credit scene. So you had to wait all the way to the end, right before they turn the lights on. And there were I remember the people hearing some people in the background like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
And I laughed to myself because I was like, oh, you definitely didn't see Evil Dead, because
I had to explain it. And you know, people I watched it was like, that's one of your old movies, Dad. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
But it's a classic. We've spoken about it before.
Yeah.
That was, and I'll say it again, that was the first movie we ever rented when we first got our VHS back in the days. It was Evil Dead and the American Werewolf in London.
Yes.
It goes to show how
you told me your brother came home with it and you guys watched it and you weren't supposed to watch it, but you did.
But I did anyway. And ever since.
Speaking of post-credit scenes, how do you feel about that first post-credit scene when Charlize Theron plays as Clea? I think her name is Clea.
Okay.
She comes in and she says, you have to fix this collusion, or you caused a collusion and we have to fix it. Then she opens up a portal and it looks like Dormammu from the Doctor Strange 1. So how do you feel about that? I mean, what do you think this is going to go? And then he, you know, spoiler alert again for you guys, Doctor Strange has the Darkhold in him because he has that evil third eye. But it looks like he controlled it, right?
Yeah. I'll be honest, I was lost because I didn't know I really didn't understand what was going on, to be honest with you. That's why the second one I was just like, oh yes, this I know.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to see Charlize Theron though. I mean, she's amazing. Yeah. And everything she does. Now, quick question is I finally saw the Eternals, and are there any ties with the Eternals to the Marvel universe that you know of? No. Or is it going to be a part of the MCU at all?
I can honestly tell you they should just get rid of the Eternals.
Because that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Disney Plus movies already. We've seen Doctor Strange already. We've seen Spider-Man already, and not one time was the Eternals even mentioned. You know, not one time. And so, how are they going to tie them in? I don't know. I mean, you're right. They haven't. You know, I thought Clea when she came in was definitely part of the Eternals. That's the first thing I thought of when she popped in. But then later on, I did my whole, nerdy research. I did everything. And she's supposed to be Dormammu's daughter.
Okay.
So in the beginning, in the first Doctor Strange, when Doctor Strange did the time loop and he just kept going back to Dormammu, that supposedly caused a collusion there.
Gotcha.
So he needs to go back and fix it. So supposedly that's what's supposed to happen. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens moving forward. I mean, but nowadays, who isn't? And Charlize Theron is a Marvel character, but nowadays, who isn't a Marvel character?
Yeah, it's like they're running out of big names because they get like the biggest of the big to be in these movies. Yeah, and pretty soon we're gonna have like The Rock playing like a villain or something. He
was rumored to be playing The Thing, but then he was tied into doing what's that movie that he's doing with the
Fast and the Furious 15?
No, what's that? The Shazam movie, Black. The Shazam's character. God, what's his name?
Wait, Shazam's character.
Shazam's foe that he's fighting.
Shazam, like Shaq Shazam?
Not Shaq.
Is that no? That's Kazam.
Oh, damn. No, not Shaq Shazam. Here I'm looking. Black Adam, that's his name.
Okay.
He's supposed to be playing Black Adam, so he's tied into the Black Adam character right now. So for him to come to the MCU would be great, but then I can't, picture him in the MCU. I mean, he has one tone when he speaks. He's always doing the little, the boob thing.
Yeah. The problem with The Rock, he's so big. And I don't mean physically, he is big, but I mean, just he's such a big name that I think it would be kind of like I said with Tom Cruise. It would be hard to see him as someone else not being Dwayne Johnson, Yeah.
I mean, all we'll see is Dwayne Johnson in him. All we'll see, like even if he played the Thing's supposed to be, part of the Fantastic Four, and he's supposed to be the not bright person there. I mean, I can see The Rock just not shutting up as the Thing, Yeah. And, I mean, Yeah, no, just keep him out of the MCU. But you know, Charlize Theron is in it. You know, John Krasinski's finally in it. You know, Patrick Stewart officially is part of the MCU, even though he's been playing, you know, the MCU character. And then, and to see who else they can get moving forward. I mean, there's a lot of other names that they can get.
Yeah,
running
there is.
And then there's a rumor going around that Henry Cavill, who played Superman, is trying to find his way to the MCU.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So MCU is like it's like the Yankees of superheroes. Everybody wants to go play for them.
I mean, Christian Bale, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's in Thor: Love and Thunder. You know, he's playing the God Killer now, right?
And I love Christian Bale, so that'll be cool to see what he comes out with.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, everyone wants to be. I mean, look, dude, down the road, we're going to see Ben Affleck dressed as a Marvel character somewhere down the road. We are. We're going to see him down the road. We're going to see him, like, you know, maybe play a character and they kill him off and they say, stay in the DCU.
I tell you what, I would like to see him as a villain. I would like to see him do something different. If they're going to do that, go over the top with it, make some crazy villain, go deep into the bowels of Marvel Comics like they've been doing, and find somebody we've never heard of and let them have it.
He can play. Oscar Isaac played him in X-Men. I forget which X-Men it was, where he played the character. He was the Egyptian character. Apocalypse. I think his name was Apocalypse. I can see Ben Affleck playing Apocalypse. I mean, that's all makeup. He's in makeup. We're not going to see his ugly face. Because every time I see him, I just think of J-Lo. But we can't see his face, and I think he can act that character's role where he's just being dumb and evil, you know? Yeah. So I can see Ben Affleck doing that. You know?
Yeah, especially if he's got some like costume or makeup on where we don't have to actually see him try to physically act. God, who knows?
Painful,
maybe we're putting it into the ether. We're going to see Ben Affleck. Hey, you heard it here first, folks.
2 weeks from now, I'm going to text Joe and say, "What the fuck? Ben Affleck is now in Marvel?"
And then it'll just be a matter of time before Matt Damon's in there.
Oh yeah, it's going to be Matt Damon's already in the MCU.
Is he really? Where did I miss him?
He played in Thor Ragnarok. He was. You remember the acting scene where Loki was in Ragnarok and he was doing this whole play.
Oh, that's right. The where they play the story of him and his dad and his brother. That's right. And he actually was really good at that too.
Matt Damon's already beat Ben Affleck. And there's another big name, you know. Right there. And then in this Thor: Love and Thunder, I know we're going off topic, but in Thor: Love and Thunder, they're bringing in Russell Crowe, another big name character.
See, that's going to be interesting because I don't know if you've seen any Russell Crowe movies recently. He had one on maybe HBO. Damn it, I can't think of the name of it, but he basically plays this, and I'm really getting off topic here, but it's about road rage, and he plays this guy who, like, he has this one of those falling down moments, and he has this road rage incident, and this lady like honks the horn at him, and for the rest of the movie he's torturing her and her family, and he's like really nuts. But the reason why I say that to say this, he's like 300 pounds in this movie. He doesn't look like, and he looks like John Goodman. Like, yeah, he's like a big guy like that. I didn't even recognize him. I was like, holy shit, that's Russell Crowe. So if he's going to be out in the movie, I'd really like to see what he's going to play.
But, you know, it's funny because in the movie, I don't know if you've ever seen any of the trailers of Thor. He's wearing that body armor. So, you know, Marvel's pretty good on hiding, you know, CGI stuff. So he's wearing a body armor. He's not showing any skin like he did in the Gladiator. So they'll figure out a way to cover the 300 poundsness of
and I mean, I'm sure that who knows how long ago he filmed that. I'm sure he probably cut weight for the movie.
I'm trying to look for it. I don't know the name. You said it's an HBO Max or HBO.
I think it's HBO. I'll look for it. But yeah, it's actually a pretty good movie. It's one of those random out of nowhere movies that I was just kind of flicking through and I saw it and I was like, oh, this looks cool.
Was it Unhinged?
Unhinged. There you go.
Okay,
that's it.
Yeah, I'm looking. Okay, yeah. Oh no, yeah. I'm looking at his pictures in here. Yeah, he does look a little beefy in here.
Yeah. So that's definitely not a superhero bod.
Not a superhero bod. But yeah, how I got this. I got to ask you this question, and I know a lot of people will be like, "Why'd you throw this question in?" Benedict Wong, who played Wong, had a love interest in this movie that they didn't really explore. The person who played Sarah, she was the African American lady. She was one of the Comatage, and she sacrificed herself so Wong can get the Darkhold and try to get it away from Wanda. Wanda, yeah. How do you feel about that? Why do you think they didn't explore that? I mean, I would have wanted to see Wong being a regular person also, not just the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, I feel like maybe because I'm not sure what they call the wizards that all of them are. The Wong and all of them, but sorcerers. Sorcerers. They almost kind of have like a monk type feel to me. Yeah. And so I could only assume that maybe they made some sworn thing where they just kind of, they don't do love and marriage and all that, and they're just about their sorcery. That's the only thing I can assume. But it would have been nice, or even maybe to see them in a glimpse of him and her together in another universe. Who knows? Maybe that was something that was on the cutting room floor, because there is apparently a 240 minute version of the movie, but Sam Raimi cut it down to 206. So if they ever release that stuff, it'd be pretty interesting to see what they took out. But yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to see him like they're just an ordinary Joe, no pun intended. But but that's the only thing I can think of is, and to me, they like to keep a lot of these superheroes in pain, right? When you think about you just go down the line of everyone, they've all suffered something, some sort of loss that kind of drives them to do what they do. It's almost like, well, I have nothing left to live for as far as that person, so why don't I just try to help the world and everyone else? So we saw it in Iron Man, we saw it in Captain America. Iron Man and Endgame said, I'll do this, but I don't want to lose what I already have, which was his family. And then we saw Captain America go back in time and decide not to come back because he wanted to spend time with his love interest. But I think, like you said earlier or recently, it would have gave a little more meaningful feeling to us as viewers that these sorcerers also can love. These sorcerers can also, they gave us the first Sorcerer Supreme where she was more about, this is how we do it. Right. Doctor Strange comes in and he has this whole, he's in love with Christine. He's always loved her, but he couldn't because he had to pay his time and dues to the sorcerers. So if they would have showed us that, they showed us at the end when she was already dying that they had a little thing together. Yeah. They would have showed us a little bit more, maybe even in the beginning, like right when, Wanda was coming into Comatage, maybe if she would have said something like, hey, Wong, please be careful. Yeah. It was like, oh shit. Yeah, be more of a build up for the loss, so the loss kind of would have hit a little more. Yeah, I totally get that. And again, maybe this just time restraints. Yeah, they couldn't put something like that in, but
Wong
that would have been a good look.
Jungle fever. That's all I kept thinking. It's like, Wong, you got jungle fever, man. Good job. Yeah. What else are you doing in the Comatage?
If loving you is Wong, I don't want to be right.
Wong did a memory spell on her.
Dude, let me ask you, what did you think about the music of this movie? Because I was in love. Let's just say that. I mean,
I'm a big fan, and I hate talking about this, Star Wars, and I'm a big fan of John Williams and how he does his music. But I want to know who wrote the music in here.
Danny Elfman was
Okay, so Danny Elfman's done a lot of good stuff, and for him to actually do Doctor Strange and to play the right music, when Zombie Strange came out, the first time when Doctor Strange says, "There's one Strange left," and then he brought him back as a zombie. the music, and it's funny you mentioned that because I don't know if anyone else thought of that, but the eeriness of him coming back to life to me felt like a horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, oh. And then the scene where now they're on top of the mountain and all the evil things are around him, and then when he takes over them, I was like, if the music wasn't there, then a scene still would have happened, but the scene, the music just complemented the scene perfectly.
Absolutely. I agree. It elevated it. And not for nothing, I kind of like the zombie Strange. I could see a whole movie of Zombie Strange, but I totally agree. It was so like theatrical almost the way he did the music. And my favorite scene is the one where the two strangers are fighting each other and they're using musical notes.
Yeah.
And the way he uses those music notes, because it's obvious that it's music, but they're using it as a weapon. So it's like these harsh violins and like all these sounds that like it fits so perfectly, because it's almost like the sound that the shock is making that they're throwing at each other, but you also hear the note. I was like, being a music guy, I freaking love that part. That was probably my favorite.
Whoever wrote that scene the scene that you're talking about was when Doctor Strange was fighting evil Doctor Strange, the what if version we all know is the what if version. Whoever wrote that scene where they're fighting and they decide to use musical notes as their weapons was like, dude, you thought outside the box. You took something that no one would ever thought of someone would do, and you made it into a badass scene. Dude, I love that scene. I mean, you're right. It's just one of those things where in the beginning I was like, the fuck are they doing? And then I was like, oh shit, he took a B note and smacked him in the face with it.
Yeah, dude, that was, oh man, for me. And I don't know, there's some Easter eggs. I don't know if you noticed. The one that I caught was when we first see Professor X.
Yeah.
The music in the background is the theme music for the TV cartoon X-Men series. Like when you talk about nostalgia, like anyone near our age range knows that was one of the best, forget Marvel or just one of the best cartoons, period. Yeah. And just to hear that music, it was just like, I got chills. I was like, yes,
well, this is that music Marvel's. Twice, right? So they played it twice. The first time they played it is when regular Strange and America Chavez was going through that dimension where, and then they went into a little cartoon dimension where they played that X-Men theme just a little bit, and eagle hearing people can actually hear it. But then when Professor X comes out in his famous yellow wheelchair and his green suit that he does in all the cartoons, you can hear it just a little bit more, which I was just like, wow.
Yeah. Wow. And how amazing was that scene where Doctor Strange saves America and they're flying through the metaverse. Is it metaverse? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Multiverse, excuse me. And they're flying through the multiverse and like hitting different versions of themselves. Like that was sick. Like the paint version of them and the cube one. I was like, oh, this is great.
They showed one version where they were, I forget which verse was that, but it was supposed to be Kang's universe. Like it was supposed to be Kang's universe. So it's kind of like everyone was hoping Kang would be in here. They kind of teased him just a little bit in that verse, but they didn't show him. So
was that the one with those three big faces? Yeah. Those I had to look that one up because I was like, there's no way they're just showing that for the sake of showing it. And I guess there was a comic called the Living Tribunal. Yeah. And they were kind of like the Watcher from What If, where they kind of keep the laws of nature intact. So it was kind of cool to see them looking on to say like, what the fucking shit are you guys doing right now? Like, it's almost like your parents watching you be bad and you don't see them standing behind you.
That's one thing again that I was a little disappointed. You mentioned the Watcher was in What If. We got the Watcher a lot, and we got a lot of the Watcher, even though he was just like a background figure for most of the show. I kind of wish they threw the Watcher in here. Maybe towards the end where, when they figured out how to finally beat the Scarlet Witch, maybe the Watcher should have said, there's only one way to beat her, and this is the only way. This is to save all the universe. I mean, I wish they tied that in. I mean, maybe they are. We don't know. Maybe that's something they have planned down the road. But I kind of wish they did. So.
Yeah, no, totally. And I mean, he does state like in a couple of the series where that, you know, he, in some instances, he can't intervene. Yeah. Because it's kind of like, I can't risk the multiverse for this one universe. But I feel like he's too big of a part of the story for them not to bring him into the movies. Yeah, exactly. You know, there's no way they can't. At least if there's some sort of end game for this, you know, set or whatever, he needs to be in it. I'll be really upset if he's not. They'll drop the ball on, in my opinion, if they don't have him. And then you brought up the Eternals earlier. Someone brought up in that one universe where, you know, evil Doctor Strange caused a collusion and that universe is dying. Where was the Eternals there? You know, if the Eternals are supposed to be when they decided to save, you know, the planet, where were they there? Why didn't they decide to save that planet? Why did they let that planet even cause a collusion? So it's one of those things where the writing is good, the storyline's good, but there's a lot of missing pieces that I know these writers later on are going to be like, fuck, we fucked this up. Let's go ahead and fill this in. And let's tell them why. I mean, the Eternals, you saw it. They did say, Selma Hayek's character said, we weren't supposed to intervene, but these people found a way to bring back, you know, half of the Earth's population. So that's why they didn't intervene. So, but when the collusion, when the Earth is about to die and is about to go into a dark hole, why didn't they find a way to help them out? I mean, that's just me overthinking these things. No, I feel you, but you know what? I'm happy they didn't. Maybe they realized like this was so bad. Maybe we just don't put them in anything and let people forget that even existed, because that was such a boring movie to watch. I fell asleep like 3 times and I was not caring to go back to see what I missed. I mean, let's just get this over with. I even mentioned it to you. If they would have brought in one character in the MCU, just one, maybe 1 or 2, I think the ratings would have been up just a little bit. But to introduce us to a whole new group of people after we just watched our favorite Marvel heroes, you know, one passed away, a couple that moved on. If they would have brought somebody in there, then maybe we would have the ratings would have been a little bit better. But the ratings was it wasn't Marvel standards in the ratings. No, it wasn't. It just felt like they put more effort into getting big names for the movie than they did in like writing a good story. And that definitely dropped the ball there. Danny Elfman was the composer of The Nightmare Before Christmas. Oh, so there's the reason why the evil music back there. And it fits perfectly. That same kind of like mood music that he did for that it fit perfect. I can't wait to watch it again. Honestly, when it comes out on Disney Plus, I'm going to watch it a few more times. Definitely. I mean, there's a couple things I did miss that I did catch later on the video, you know, like on the Easter egg videos that I wanted to touch on here. But I totally forgot what they were. No, there's a lot. There's so many in this movie because I did the same where I was just like, I felt like I was in school learning something like I missed a few days of school and I was just lost. And I'm like, there's just way too much. I need to watch this movie again when it comes out. A couple more times, like you said, and probably even go back to some old series and things like that to see what I missed. I still haven't watched the Hawkeye series. That's next on my list. I don't think I don't think Hawkeye tied into any of this. You know, I mean, I'm trying. I think Hawkeye's on a, you know, again, Hawkeye human, so it's more on a human form. Where this one was more on a, you know, sorceress multiverse. Everyone had powers, you know. So I don't even think they're going to pick up Hawkeye season 2 from what I read, you know. Really? So I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense because really, how are you going to tie him in? What is his connection with this group? You know, all his friends are kind of gone. Yeah. So, I mean, the only reason why I think Hawkeye was made was to introduce us to Haley Steinfeld
and then to bring in, God, I forget his name now, the big boss, James Gandolfini. What's his?
Yeah, it's not Gandolfini. Damn it! Why'd you say that? Because that's Vincent D'Onofrio.
Vincent D'Onofrio. What was his name again? God, see, I can't figure out his name. Kingpin.
Yes.
Yeah. James Gandolfini.
You might be right. They may have just used that just to kind of introduce these new characters.
Yeah, I think that's the only reason why they did Hawkeye was for that reason. I mean, but I liked it. You know, I told you before, Hawkeye is one of my favorite Avengers because he's you and me. He just knows how to use a bow and arrow. And he's a mercenary. That's it.
He's an ordinary Joe. Hey, you remind me with your variant shirt. So in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, a lot of people thought this was messed up because of Peter Parker's No Way Home. So that's why there's this whole multiverse, there's this whole collusion thing. But Kevin Feige confirmed that the multiverse messed up because of Loki. In the TV Loki. So he did confirm that when I forget her name, Lady Loki kills Kang the Conqueror, or He Who Remains? He Who Remains, right.
Yeah, when she killed him, that caused the multiverse to go out of control. That caused Wanda to lose her kids. So I want to see them tie in the whole WandaVision and Loki. I don't know if they're going to find a way to do that.
Yeah.
But supposedly Loki's the reason why this whole thing's messed up. So
I feel like, and that's the same thing I was wondering, because I was like, well, wait a minute. I don't know that it could be, what happened with Strange and Spider-Man in that movie, or even what's happening in this movie. I think all of those things were a ripple effect of what happened from the Loki series, because that's how they explained it in the series. Yeah, that everything, they show the whole timeline, and also I think all of it was just a byproduct of what happened. But I'm guessing Kang the Conqueror will probably be the connection, or the Watcher if they decide to bring the Watcher in. And that'll be that kind of way to connect all these universes. And there's going to have to maybe be some way to reset the timeline, or start from over, like get Marty McFly and go back to before, it started. So yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. But I have the utmost confidence in the writers at over there at Marvel that they'll do something really cool.
Loki season 2 is, for me, the most anticipated Disney Plus Marvel series coming out, just because I want to see how this takes place. We ended Loki season 1 with him seeing Kang the Conqueror, or He Who Remains, as one of the statues. But with Ant-Man and the Wasp coming out, I'm almost sure they're going to find a way to put in Loki in there. They have to, right? They have to find a way, because they can't do Ant-Man and the Wasp and then give us Loki season 2. Like you said, the writers are gonna have to figure this out. I get headaches at night trying to puzzle piece all this together when I'm not one of the writers.
Yeah, and then there's just so many possibilities. So it's kind of like it's hard to even try to imagine where they're gonna go with it, because I'm surprised every time. Like, my predictions have been pretty wrong. As far as where I think the movie, that's the fun of it for us, though. We get to talk about it and try to see and figure out what's going to happen. But more often than not, I'm not anywhere close to what it is they come up with. But that's why they get paid the big bucks, because they do great stuff.
Just imagine if you and I were the writers. Man, if you and I were the writers, man, it would have been. We would have added our favorite characters in there. Like, nope, the X-Men's coming in now. Chris Evans, you're reprising your role as, with the Human Fire, whatever his name is, Torch.
Like, Incredible Hulk would be in every movie somehow.
You're smashing everything.
Let me ask you something, just off topic real quick. How do you feel about them bringing back the Smart Hulk, or the, I think that's what they're calling him, right?
Well, so we saw the trailers of, and I'm presuming you're talking about She-Hulk, the trailer. Right? So She-Hulk, and I did a trick on Joe. I crossed off the she and I put they, her, him, because I have a feeling
you got me good too.
I
was getting my rant ready.
the me movements, and you're like, why does it have to be She-Hulk? Why can't it be they Hulk?
Yeah. Oh man, I was steaming. I had just gotten to work and I was texting you back in my car. I hadn't even got out the car yet. I was like, why?
Why do they have all this? But I have a feeling that because supposedly they're not bringing him back, right? He's not coming back in future Marvel movies. So I'm assuming this took place in the timeline where right when they finally met up with him in Endgame. So it took place somewhere there. So you know how Marvel's always good on, like when they gave us Black Widow, they gave us what happened between not Endgame, Infinity War and Endgame. So they gave us that scene. So I have a feeling She-Hulk is going to be there as well. It's going to be in between Endgame and something else. So
got it.
So that's the reason why Smart Hulk is still there. I mean, again, I don't know. I won't know until it comes out. I'm not, speaking of She-Hulk, how do you feel about that?
That's one series that besides the second season of Loki that I'm not necessarily super excited about, but I'm interested in seeing because again, Incredible Hulk is my favorite character. I didn't read too much stuff about She-Hulk, so I'm not sure how she plays in. I know I was reading that a lot of fans were upset that they're bringing back the Smart Hulk because, they didn't like him. And I kind of felt like that a little bit, but again, being a Hulk fan, if you go back to Incredible Hulk, the beginning, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's how Incredible Hulk was. He was still smart. Bruce Banner still had control of him. He actually used to use a laser to turn into Incredible Hulk until that blew up, and then that's what made him into the Hulk we know today. So it doesn't bother me so much because, though I got used to that Hulk. But I'm really kind of more excited about She-Hulk, hoping that we get more Incredible Hulk, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those TV shows where I have to. It'll surprise me if it was actually if I like it. Only because if this did take place right before Endgame and she was already part of the universe before Endgame, why wasn't she at the final battle? I mean, that's just one of those questions I'll ask. Why wasn't she at the final battle? Why didn't Hulk say, "Hey, we need you, help us"? Maybe she got glitched. I don't know. So we'll see what happens when She-Hulk comes out. I mean, again, it'll surprise me if I actually enjoy it. I'm not one of those like I don't like this and this. I just didn't grow up watching She-Hulk at all. I mean, I grew up watching Hulk, and I grew up watching X-Men, and I grew up watching some of the Avengers, and reading the comic book. Whenever She-Hulk came on, I'm like,
Yeah. And then that's why I think another reason why I'm curious about it is because a few times now where I've been like, I don't know if I'm going to like that. Like Falcon Winter Soldier, Doctor Strange, the first one. Doctor Strange has become like my second favorite movie arc in the whole MCU series, including the first one, like the first series. His movies, Benedict Cumberbatch, are great. So I feel like they might surprise us. I'm not expecting much. Like I said, I'm hoping I get some cameos for Incredible Hulk, but it'll be interesting to see.
You'll get a lot of cameos with him. He's the reason why she became She-Hulk, right? So you'll get a lot of cameos there.
Yeah. But hopefully the writers will change our mind and our minds will be blown and it'll be great.
I'm coming in this with an open mind, and I'm hoping, like you said, I'm hoping it's something that'll be like, oh man, I was wrong. It was good. But the trailers that they're showing right now, I'm just like,
I haven't seen any. I should probably watch them.
Yeah, you should watch some of the trailers. I mean, it was more like a teaser trailer, but they did show, her as She-Hulk already. And, she's kind of like Smart Hulk in the trailers, where she's interacting with people. She's not, smash. She's not one of those, that's hard to see as a female Hulk. Whatever. How do you feel about Benedict Cumberbatch? I mean, like we said earlier, I can't see anybody else playing Doctor Strange than him.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I've been a fan of his for a long time. There have been movies that I've watched just because he was in it that I probably wouldn't have watched otherwise.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's the same thing. It's like Iron Man. I don't see that's his role. Yeah. He owned it. He made it. He's just so good at it. He's Doctor Strange. So
we saw
I love him.
3 versions of him, man. I mean, how hard is that? 3 versions. I mean, for him, actually, we saw 4 because the other Strange died, right? So we did see 4 versions of him. I mean, to me, that's the most we've ever seen in a Marvel movie. It was close with Spider-Man. We saw 3 Spider-Mans. We saw 4 Doctor Strange, and to me, I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I think that's why, this movie was so good, because between him being an amazing Doctor Strange and the being the protagonist, and then you have, what's her name for the witch?
Oh, WandaVision.
WandaVision.
Scarlet Witch,
yeah. Like those 2 performances were just amazing. And like you said, it could have easily been a WandaVision or Scarlet Witch movie.
Yeah.
But, she was the bad guy. He was the good guy. The way they play off each other. I was happy that, we saw so much of her, because she's, even in the comics, she's a badass character. And sometimes they don't do justice to some of the characters that we may want. We might want to see more of one, or like, man, they only give us a flash of this one. Yeah. They didn't disappoint with the Scarlet Witch and her transition from WandaVision. And it's just great. Those 2.
Before we wrap up, what do you think this is headed? We saw Scarlet Witch kind of make amends with herself, kind of destroys the Darkhold temple where she found the Darkhold again. Does she redeem herself? Does she come back and she becomes part of the Avengers? I mean, she's technically an Avenger because she fought alongside the Avengers. So does she come back and become an Avenger?
Yeah, I think she does. I think she realized, how she fucked up this time around. And I think Kang, right? Is it Kang or Kang? Kang. I think he's going to ultimately be the next
big bad
force to be reckoned with. And I think they're going to need her. Yeah. They've already proven that she's that powerful. And this guy is they're going to need every bit of power they can get their hands on to beat this guy. Yeah. And I feel like that might be the only time we see the Eternals, if they just pop up in the background, like, the end game when everybody was coming out of anywhere, we just might see them really quick, like, oh, those guys. But they might need them.
What do you think if that did happen? You just predicted something that might happen. If that did happen, we see, Scarlet Witch, we see Doctor Strange, we might even see Spider-Man, we might see different versions of the famous MCU characters that we like. Then all of a sudden you see the Eternals pop out of nowhere. What do you think? You think the crowd will cheer that they're coming out, or you think they'll boo them coming out?
Hell no, I won't. I mean, maybe some diehards might cheer, but I think they might just get the slow clap.
I think it's gonna be one of those. It's gonna be one of those things where we see them, and then some people be like, "You'll have that one in the movie theaters, like,
yeah,"
and then I'll be like, "Why?
Yeah,
why now?"
I'll be the groaning and moaning. Oh,
I'll be like, "Where were you throughout the whole 5 episodes? Why now?" Why now? You killed the best character. You killed Icarus. Why did you guys come back?
Yeah. Is it safe to say, do you think Strange is the leader of the new generation of Avengers, if that's what they're even going to call themselves?
I was going to ask you that. I was going to wrap it up with that. I think yes. I think if we have to look at, and I'm going to call them the senior groups of the Avengers. I mean, we still have Captain America. Anthony Mackie's version. We still have, Sebastian Stan's Winter Soldier. We still have those characters that haven't really, besides their TV show, hasn't really came on anything else. We haven't seen them anywhere else. So Doctor Strange going through what he already went through, with his movie, with Endgame, with Infinity War, and then with the whole Spider-Man multiverse thing that he did, and then now this with Scarlet Witch, I would think he's the one that has, if you looked at his resume, he's been in more battles than anybody else has. Yep. Right? He's been in the multiverse. He's been in different universes. He's fought a Scarlet Witch. There was 4 different versions of him that was just seen. So yes, I think it's safe to say that he's the guy that we have to look up to when it comes to. I mean, we already saw this in Endgame. Him and even in Infinity War, him and everyone knew Tony Stark was the guy. Tony Stark was the leader. But when Tony Stark didn't know what to do, he went to Strange. He said, "Hey, what do we do now?"
Yeah.
And Doctor Strange told him. So,
and he had to make the tough decision.
Yeah. And even in the movie Endgame, and to wrap it up shortly, you remember what the Sorcerer Supreme said when Smart Hulk went there to try to get that stone? She said he's supposed to be the best sorcerer moving forward. So if he told you this is what we need, then I need to give you the stone. That's why she gave him the stone. Yeah. So yes, moving forward, I can't see anybody else taking the lead of the Avengers. Unless they bring back a Captain America or Iron Man, which
this is true.
This is true. Do that, yeah.
But I think I have a feeling they're gonna sway towards bringing back the Illuminati, and it's gonna be how they, the Avengers style, where you have this just kind of a collage of different superheroes, and I think they're gonna bring back Reed. They're gonna have all of them, and maybe even a new version of Iron Man, and I think the Illuminati are gonna be the next Avengers.
Tom Cruise as Iron Man. But it's funny you mentioned that. I'm on this Tom Cruise thing. I just watched Top Gun. That's the reason why. I have a feeling in this universe that Doctor Strange is in now, his regular universe. I have a feeling he's gonna form the Illuminatis, because we saw the whole collusion thing at the end post credits with Charlize Theron. So I have a feeling he's gonna be like, what? I don't need what happened in that other universe to happen in my universe. So let me go ahead and form this Illuminati group. And whether Jay-Z is going to be the main guy of the Illuminatis, we'll see.
Yeah. We'll have him and Dame Dash. Yeah. And I really do hope they redeem themselves and do another Shang-Chi. I was not happy with that movie, and I feel like there's room for them to have something really good there with that character. Yeah. And I think he could bring something to the whole new phase of the MCU. So
I mean, I'm going to tell you, Shang-Chi, the same thing I told you about Black Widow. I think he's a good supporting cast when it comes to Avengers, and I think they gave us that movie just to introduce us to him, so that way nobody would be like, oh, why is he just a supporting cast member?
Right.
But if they give us another movie, they have to give us an Avenger in there. He has to be side by side with an Avenger. And I'm not talking about Wong. I'm not talking about any supporting cast. They have to give us, maybe Falcon, maybe, the Winter Soldier, someone where it'll be a good movie, but it'll even be better if you add another character in there. Because you're right. It was a good movie to me, but it could have been done better. So, So,
totally.
So I'm hoping. I didn't even read anything about Shang-Chi, so I'm gonna have to find out what's going on, if they're actually in production with another Shang-Chi. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, they have the connection with Wong, so there's that. So they could always introduce someone else into that to kind of help that movie out, and just I don't know, not try so hard.
And maybe Shang-Chi ties into the Eternals. I think I brought this up to you in a past podcast, where in that post-credit scene when they said, I've never seen these artifacts before. It's not vibranium. It's not from this earth. So maybe it's something that the Eternals brought over. So
good point. Yeah.
Maybe. So maybe we'll see Shang-Chi in the Eternals. Hopefully.
Maybe America will make her way into his world.
America Chavez, man. This has been cool, man. I definitely love talking, Marvel with you, and for you guys who always go, like one of my coworkers, like, you guys can never stay on topic. You guys can never, you talk about something else. Well, that's what ordinary Joes do, man. Let me tell you guys right now, ordinary Joes will talk about whatever, however, whenever they want to do. So we'll talk 10 minutes of Doctor Strange and then 5 minutes of something else, but we'll definitely get back on track.
Yeah, we're your boys. I mean, how many times you talk to your friends and you start talking about something, an hour later, you're way over here. That's us, just two ordinary guys talking about comic books.
This is what I told them. There's point A and point B. There's a straight line from point A to point B. Me and Joe, we go from point A, we'll do a little loop, come back down to that main line, do another loop, and come back down to that main line. We'll eventually get to the end.
Yeah.
It just takes a little longer.
Yeah. Just, come along for the ride.
The Ordinary Joes. That's why we're called The Ordinary Joes. Come on. Jesus Christ. But this has been fun. Thank you guys again for always jumping on. A couple of you guys, I'm going to throw shout outs to you guys next week because I didn't ask for your permission if I can say your name this week. But thank you guys for jumping on. Thank you guys for always making this show fun for us to do. And, I love doing this show. And thank you, Joe, for jumping on. And thank you, Joe, for getting everything working on your end. So we're going to, doing a podcast on my own is fun, but it gets boring when I say, so Eric, what do you think about Doctor Strange? And then I have to answer my own question.
Yeah, it's definitely rough.
This is when my whole topic is, why is Eric talking to himself?
Do you set up a mirror so you're looking at least you're answering yourself back?
Someone told me to do a video and like, hey, do what you do with Ordinary Joes with your own podcast. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that. Yeah.
That's rough, man.
Yeah.
That is, I've seen podcasts where people do that, but that is insane. I can't. I mean, I talk to myself all day, but I don't know that I could actually record myself and have an interesting conversation with myself. Like, shout out to people that can do that because that's rough.
Shout out to the guy yesterday when I bought a bagel at Pete's Coffee who was yelling at himself about the end of the world.
See,
San Francisco for you.
This sounds about right, but I'm always worried because you never know. They may be onto something that we're not. They're out in the streets all day.
They know exactly what's happening. But guys, next week we're going to talk about
some Star Wars, maybe
some Obi-Wan. We are not talking about Obi-Wan. You are not going to listen to Obi-Wan.
No, we want them to listen to Obi-Wan.
Joe's going to get caught up with Obi-Wan. We'll talk about Obi-Wan. And then we'll talk about something else moving forward. But until next time, I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Follow us on the Ordinary Joe's podcast at gmail.com. We're available on Instagram and on YouTube. And if you guys want to follow Joe, go ahead and follow Joe. I leave all his descriptions down below. Somebody was supposed to reach out to you because they found a beat from your Instagram that they said, hey, do you think he'll sell this to me? And I said, okay. I don't know. Why don't you go send him a message?
Okay, yeah, I'll check my DMs. I've recently been getting like a lot of spam, so that's why I haven't clicked on in a little bit. But yeah, I'll go through those. And
you mean the spams like, would you like to be a whatever?
Or just promote this on whatever, or like, just leave me alone, bots.
I get that all the time. So.
I'll check my DMs. Actually, I'll go check them now. And if they sent the message, awesome. Yeah, everything up there is for sale. Cool. Everything's negotiable. I won't kill your pockets.
Wow. You sure about that? No, just kidding.
We'll see.
But yeah, definitely go follow him. Huge.beats on Instagram. They got some cool stuff on there. I was going to reach out to him and ask him to, if there's something that we can use on this show. But everybody, you guys, I asked you guys, do you guys like the beat that we do in the beginning? You guys still love it. So I'm going to keep it going. And that's Joe's beat right there. So, all right, guys, long-winded. Until next time, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. We are the Ordinary Joes.
Peace.
See ya.
You're listening to the Ordinary Joes podcast.